Hey everyone, it's 123 Baseball back again for the second time this week. For the first time ever, we're trying to change things up a little bit, maybe shorten it down some of these episodes, make it a little easier to listen slash watch for whatever you guys choose. But this episode, we're going to give a little weekend preview this week. I mean, SEC play starts up, ACC play ramped up a little bit last week, but now you get full ACC play. Big 12 play starts this week, Big 10 play started last week. But yeah, I mean, really exciting. Sun Belt play starts this week. You got a couple ranked teams down there in the Sun Belt. But I mean, SEC play is really kind of what we're kind of focusing on mainly. I mean, it's just teams in the SEC that's going to be the absolute gauntlet, especially for teams like A&M who've kind of been struggling a little bit to the non-con with the big preseason ranking and all the preseason hype that they've gotten. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how they play. I mean, Alabama's coming to town at College Station. I mean, Alabama's 16-1. They've vaulted up into the top 20 of the rankings recently. Been really impressed with what I've seen from Alabama. I mean, they got big wins from against a ranked Coastal team, Ohio State, a ranked Troy team, previously ranked NC State team who's kind of slid a little bit. But I'm really impressed to see what I've seen from Alabama. I mean, they're going over to College Station this weekend to play A&M. I think it's gonna be a good game, a good series. I'm really curious to see if A&M's bats can kind of click it on a little bit. I mean, they've struggled a little bit. Weekend starters for A&M haven't really been the issue. Ryan Prager's been great, as he always is, and he'll get the ball on Friday night. But what do you think you're going to see in College Station this week? I mean, I think Alabama is going to go in and take at least 2 out of 3.
Is this the weekend that A&M puts it together? Is it?
I mean,
No,
I don't
it's
think
not.
so.
It's not. I can guarantee it's just probably not. When Justin LeBron's on the other side, I mean, do you really have much of a chance? I mean, come on. No, I'm just kidding. Riley Quick, Zane Adams, really good in the rotation for Alabama. Got some couple other pieces, around there too. So they've actually pitched, fairly decently this year. So kind of backing up some of those guys. Will Hodo, I mean, solid senior. Cade Snell, solid senior. Both hitting over 400. Justin LeBron, like I already said, best player on the planet. A&M, we've been over it. Links and links of how they just haven't stepped up so far this year. Start pitching's been good. Couple bullpen arms have been good for A&M. Offense has been lackluster. It is an SEC series on the road for Alabama. How good is Alabama? Guess we'll find out. I think they're good enough to take at least 2 out of 3 from A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alabama has a way better track record than A&M does this season in my eyes. I mean, I think Alabama's going to go in and take at least 2 out of 3. I mean, it's hard to sweep in the SEC, especially on the road. So, I mean, I think A&M's going to be able to put it all together one game to take it away. Another team going on the road this weekend in the SEC is Florida. Is traveling up to Knoxville to play Tennessee, who Tennessee seems to always play literally every single weekend series at home. I mean, I don't understand. Like, I've deep dived into their schedule. I mean, you go on the road and you play. I mean, you get a little tournament action. It's not a true road test. I mean, everybody's playing on the road that weekend. So that's a little interesting, a little different in my opinion. But I mean, Tennessee always seems to play every big weekend series at home somehow. But yeah, I mean, top 10 ranked Florida is going on the road, play Tennessee, which is going to be, in my opinion, their first really true test. I mean, Tennessee played a couple teams out there in Houston a couple weeks ago, and they handle business per usual. I'm still undefeated. Tennessee, I mean, starting pitching, Liam Doyle has been phenomenal. Went 5 1/3 last weekend with 13 punch outs. Some may say he's vaulted himself to the 1-1 spot in this year's draft. Don't really see that myself so far. I still think Jamie Arnold kind of has that until he loses it, in my opinion. Who missed a start this past weekend due to illness. Link Jared already came out and kind of nullified any opinions or theories that he may have injury, elbow issues, shoulder issues, whatever. But it was said that he's good to go and he'll be pitching this weekend against Boston College. who had a big weekend against Virginia this past week. But yeah, I mean, Florida's going on the road to Knoxville. I think it's going to be a great series. Do we think Tennessee comes out of that still undefeated? I mean, I don't think so. I think they somehow, I mean, that they've kind of gotten away with some games in midweeks and weekend series, kind of being able to just out hit the lesser opponents, put up 15, 20 runs a game. And against Florida's pitching staff, I don't know if that's going to be possible. I mean, it might as well be possible. I mean, Tennessee's got an elite lineup and good starting pitching. But yeah, I mean, do we think Florida comes in and is able to take a game, maybe two, maybe the series?
I really like to take Florida here. I think playing in that Looney Tunes Stadium, Lindsey Nelson, isn't that what it's called? Yep. Is an absolute shoebox. I think anyone could hit the ball out of there. Now, not to take anything away from Tennessee. Obviously, they're a great team. They're throttling people every weekend. Liam Doyle's unbelievable. Gavin Keelan has been maybe I say better than advertised. I think everybody knew that they were going to get an All-American level player, but I mean, the kid's got a 1,700 OPS. He has 16 walks already, which is one less than he had his first 2 seasons at Louisville combined. So whatever they've done there, pitch selection's gotten better. You don't necessarily want to pitch around him because you've got, so many guys behind him that can also mash the baseball. I mean, this Tennessee lineup is pretty special. Now, they might not have the Christian Moore, that guy was incredible, and Blake Burke that really were aircraft carriers for that team last year that won it all.
Did he swing?
Yes, he swung. He went all the way around. It is ridiculous. They should make that reviewable. They cost us a national champ. They cost Florida State a national championship chance. It was pretty embarrassing by the league of umpires who should all be fired. Anyway, puke everywhere. I can't believe you brought that up. I'm all flustered. No, Tennessee's great. Tony V does a great job. I think they had a couple of close games. I think Oklahoma State gave them a decent test. Not to say that they were in ever jeopardy of losing, but they've been in a few close games. But this Florida team I really like. Liam Peterson's figured it out. He was a all-world freshman last year. A couple control issues kind of hurt him from being able to take the next step, and he's done that now. Only 6 walks in 21 innings, 34 punchies. So Peterson's been great. The key is Pierce Capola's health. Their number 2 guy, who's also had issues in the past with command and has seemed to kind of figure that out as well. He pulled something against Miami. He didn't throw last weekend. We probably won't figure out whether he's going to throw this weekend until later in the week. Maybe playing some gamesmanship, maybe just seeing how he actually feels. But yeah, the Florida pitching staff, I mean, if you've got those two and then Aiden King, who stepped up this past week and started on Saturday and was phenomenal for Florida. Maybe he plays a big role in that, in what this Florida pitching staff looks going forward if Capola can't go. But yeah, I think that's the key. Liam Peterson, Liam Doyle on Friday night is must-watch TV. I mean, it's not going to get much better than that for a matchup of arms. But Florida can swing the stick too, and their ballpark, home ballpark is maybe not the hitting paradise that the Tennessee's home stadium is. So maybe they run a few more balls out of there and got a chance. If Capola pitches, I like Florida, maybe to stick it to Tennessee here in the first weekend. They can swing the stick. Brody Donay's a budding superstar behind the plate. He's got 8 home runs already. If Capola goes, I like Florida. If not, it'd be hard to piece the rest of that pitching staff together against Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. I'm really excited to see how that plays out this weekend. I mean, we're just going to kind of just stick in the SEC here. I mean, we've got some big opening weekend series. Texas is traveling over to Stark Vegas to play Mississippi State. Mississippi State had a little bit of a slide a couple weeks ago. I mean, you lose to Troy, and then you have a bad weekend showing in Houston, the same place Tennessee played. And then you kind of turn around. I mean, you played Queens and Southern Miss last week. You beat Southern Miss 18-5, sweep Queens. And then you got Texas coming into town. I mean, it's the schedule obviously for any SEC team is just getting way harder down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, I do like what Texas has done this year. I mean, I think Schloss coming over, it's kind of been really good for them. I mean, maybe not so good for A&M, but yeah, I mean, I love Texas this weekend. I think they're going to come in and take the series from Mississippi State.
Yeah, I mean Texas. Nobody really knew kind of what we were going to get, right? Couple, not banner years from them. They make a change. They go get one of the best guys in the sport. And everybody was kind of sitting wondering what was Texas going to look like this year. I think it's been a little better than what people expected in year one. I mean, 13-1, it's hard to do much better than that. I think the key for them has been Jared Spencer coming over from Indiana State. I mean, he only started 9 games and 18 appearances last year at Indiana State. So what was he going to look like, transitioning to that Friday role? And he's been spectacular. 0.86 ERA, 21 innings, 13 hits, 9 walks, 29 punchies. He has incredible hair. I mean, it's a nice, flowy, curly afro thing he's got going. Yeah, Texas has been good. He's been great on Friday night. It's hard to get much better than a sub-1. Ethan Mendoza's been really good at the plate for them. Max Ballou. Everybody knows the name Jalen Flores by now. So yeah, Texas. I'm going to have to go with Texas in this one. Jared Spencer versus Pico Khan is going to be a good matchup, I think. Friday night, Mississippi State can pitch it as well, but I think I'm going to go with the Longhorns here.
Yeah, I mean, I do love Texas this weekend. I mean, Mississippi State. I'm excited to see what they got coming in against an actual true weekend series at home. I mean, it's always hard to win on the road, as you said, in the SEC. So really excited to see what we get out of the Longhorns this weekend. And then Vandy's traveling down to the Plains to play the Auburn Tigers. I mean, Auburn drops a game last weekend to ODU, but comes around and wins the series. I mean, they're up 9-1 in that game and somehow found a way to lose 11-9. But yeah, I mean, Auburn has been good this year. I think they've been way better than people have expected them to be. Vandy is also hitting their stride right now, I feel like, after having a tough weekend out in Arizona, I believe. Arizona against Nebraska and UC Irvine and some other teams. I think they're finally hitting their stride. I mean, they had a huge weekend against UCLA last weekend. They take down UCLA out there in California. They've been looking great. They go down to Auburn. I think they take 2 out of 3.
Yeah, Vandy. I mean, like we said, they had a good weekend last weekend against Xavier. The thing with Vandy is going to be if they've got enough juice in the lineup, right? They don't have very many home runs as a team. 3's leading the team right now, so not a whole lot of juice. They got some players. I mean, RJ Austin's super exciting. In that lineup, Jacob Humphreys hitting 440, only 4 extra base hits, but it's going to be a good at bat. Going to put the ball in play. I mean, hitting over 400 in any level is impressive in the SEC. Is we'll see if that continues. But some of the guys that they were maybe thought they were going to rely on this year, like Jonathan Vastine, it has just not really materialized. Chris Maldonado, not great. So those guys are starting to play a little less. They're starting to play a few guys with smaller names that are hitting a little better. But the pitching's been pretty good for Vanderbilt. Boker's been really good. 19 innings, only giving up 8 hits and punched out 28. If the Ethan McElvain experience is a roller coaster. If he could figure out some of those control issues, 13 walks in 11 innings, which I'm sure has led to those 14 hits and those 11 innings falling behind hitters and stuff. If he could get that stuff dialed in a little bit more, I think it would help Vandy out. Just from a ceiling standpoint, I think his arm talent is up there with some of the best. I mean, he was super highly touted coming in, but right now as a starter, it's just not working. So maybe you just throw him in the back end of the bullpen and say, hey, give me everything you got for 2 innings, right? Just try and give me the best stuff you can for 3 outs or 4 outs or 5 outs, something like that. But no, Butch Thompson's squad's taking a big turn this year. Last year was disappointing. Made a couple of changes, brought in some guys. They're swinging the stick pretty good right now. They went out and got Cade Fisher, who hasn't been great, but if you can hit, a lot of times you can win games. But Samuel Dutton's been really good for them. Brought him over from LSU. He's pitching at a 1.3 right now in 20 innings. So he's been good for the Tigers. You lose Stanfield to LSU, but Derek Fabian, Cade Ballou, Cooper McMurray. I mean, these guys are solid players. I mean, Ike Irish, who everybody thought was the first round pick, he's only hitting 278 right now. So Auburn's winning games without even their best player, talent wise, producing at that kind of level. So I think I'm going to go with Auburn here. I think I like the Tigers. I think they're a little more offensive, and I think that gets it done this weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see that series down in Auburn, Alabama this weekend. And then we got last SEC that we're going to talk about here. So we got Arkansas traveling over to Ole Miss. I'm curious to see Arkansas, it's year after year again, can they hit? They just never really be able to see to put it together, have really been able to put it all together lineup wise for a full season, and even like for portions of a season. I mean, this past weekends prior, I mean, they've been in absolute pitching matchups, barn burners with Charlotte 2 weeks ago. I mean, the bats have never really showed up. I mean, they do have the occasional guy like Andrew Benintendi who gets drafted in the first round who just absolutely rakes. They typically always have that one or two guys that are staples in their lineup that are big name guys, but they from 1 to 9 in the lineup, they just never been able to put it together, and they average like 3, 4, 5 runs a game. And I mean, in the SEC, I don't know if that's going to win you games. I'm curious to see. I mean, Ole Miss has looked very good in my eyes. I think they're going to be a good squad in the SEC play this year. I'm curious. I mean, I think Ole Miss takes 2 out of 3 from Arkansas this weekend, but I think if Arkansas can get the bats together, it'd be a completely different showing. But I mean, that's every week with Arkansas. I mean, they've been able to manage to pull through on some weekends. I mean, not dissing on any teams, but against lesser opponents. I mean, they're not SEC caliber. So I'm curious to see if the arms hold up against SEC caliber opponents, and I mean, if the bats can figure out a way to get it going.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Arkansas, can they hit? Right? They're always going to have stuff. They're always going to have arms after arms after arms. They even go to the portal and grab Zach Root out of the portal, who's one of the top arms, and I mean, he's been spectacular for them, pitching at a 2. Arkansas and that staff's probably wonder if there's any more Aloy brothers. I mean, those are their best 2 hitters right now. The younger Aloy hitting 470. The older one who was there last year hitting 440. Sorry, he's hitting 470, which is ridiculous. But they've both been great. 6 home runs apiece, 6 doubles, 7 doubles. Brett Iredale, another spectacular name, right? 15 walks, only 11 Ks. He's got 6 home runs. So that's kind of your 3 guys that are carrying that lineup, I would say, right now. But Arkansas, like we said, arms. Gabe Gackle is pitching at a 6 right now. That guy's got first-round stuff, right? Carson Wiggins might have the best stuff of anyone on the staff throwing 100 miles an hour, right? Losing Gage Wood hurts, obviously. But Arkansas, they found a way last year to put together a full season. I think they won the SEC regular season last year. 15-1 to start off this year, even with the struggles, like you said, 1 through 9. I think they've got enough in the lineup to get it done against Ole Miss. So I'm going to go with Arkansas here, but I'm interested to see maybe some of those other Ole Miss pitchers behind Hunter Elliott, what that looks like, because he's been spectacular this year for the Rebels.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it again, excited to see that series also play out. I mean, that's how it's going to be all 10 weekends of the SEC regular season. I mean, it's going to be ranked matchup after ranked matchup, and I'm excited to see. I mean, we've got a great slate this opening weekend. But yeah, I mean, other weekend series of note that I'm kind of looking at here. I mean, you got Duke traveling on the road to Stanford, which preseason that looks like a very good top 20 matchup. But Duke has slid a lot this year. I mean, you lose your opening series to Cincinnati, and then from just downhill, you're losing midweek games to very subpar caliber mid majors, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to pull together an ACC play. I mean, if they can't do it in non-con, I mean, who knows? You got a full 14-week season, so it's tough to kind of tell. But I kind of have a good grip on what I think Duke's gonna do. I mean, I think Stanford sweeps Duke this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it before. Duke has not been very impressive. Um, Stanford coming off a huge series win this past week. I would say if they keep getting strikes thrown from that Sunday starter with all this stuff, he brings on Sunday, and then the two older guys who are usually probably going to be a little more consistent. Maybe Sasaki, starts to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Something like that happens. Like you said, it's hard to sweep, but Stanford's going to at least win the series, I would say, as well.
Yeah, and then another team that's kind of other than Stanford. I mean, Stanford was kind of flying under the radar here for the first 3 weeks of the season until this past weekend. I mean, I've had my eyes on them a little bit, but I mean, for nationally attention wise, they haven't really gotten much. Is a team like West Virginia? I mean, that they've had a great start this year. They're traveling on the road to open up Big 12 play against Oklahoma State, who's also been very impressive. I'm excited to see that series. I'm curious to see what West Virginia can do in Big 12 play. I mean, they've had a great non-con schedule and record so far. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see that one. I think Oklahoma State gets it done though.
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia, first year of a new coach. Anytime you start with one loss in the non-conference, you're probably feeling pretty good, right? They probably needed that run into Big 12 play. But yeah, I mean, not fairy tale, but good start, good story with the new coach. But they haven't really played anybody. Oklahoma State, they're in it every year, right? They've got dude after dude. Nolan Schubert's great. Harrison Bodendorf has been really good for them on the mound. We talked about Oklahoma State, preseason Big 12 favorites. So they go out and, they play in a couple of tournaments. They've already played Clemson, beat Louisville, played Texas. They played Tennessee tight, beat A&M, beat Mississippi State. So with this Oklahoma State team already playing, 6 games against teams that are probably going to end up making the tournament, if not more, with Texas State there as well. A little more battle tested. They kind of know what they're getting into. I like Oklahoma State.
Yeah. And then the last series we're going to talk about here, not too many other series of note outside of the SEC. I mean, the ACC slate really isn't, not really too many good ranked matchups. I mean, you got Boston College traveling down to Florida State after having a big weekend series win against Virginia. But, I mean, I'm not too impressed with what I've seen from Virginia so far. I mean, they've kind of slid, had some really bad weekends, more bad weekends than good weekends. Which isn't really a good telltale sign heading into conference play. And you lose your first conference weekend to Boston College, who is not preseason hyped up to be really much of a contender in the ACC, and you lose that series at home. But yeah, BC beats Virginia last week on the road and is traveling down to Tallahassee this weekend to take on Florida State. I like what I see if Jamie Arnold, which we've talked about already, is had an illness last week, so he's got a week off heading into it. I doubt he's rusty. He's an elite athlete, elite pitcher. He'll be ready to go. But yeah, no, I think Florida State's going to take that one.
Yeah, I mean, Florida State has been a team that Coach Jarrett has said is built upon pitching and defense, run prevention, maybe a little bit more than run scoring, not necessarily any knock against the offense, who's been decently solid against, the level of competition they've played so far. But like you said, I mean, this is going to be the first big test for that pitching staff other than the midweek against Florida on that Tuesday beforehand. So that's they had a nice, easy runway, not playing a whole lot of competition. It'll be a good test to see if that pitching staff is all it's built up to be. and I'm excited to watch. See if this Boston College is more than just a one weekend thing, right? Maybe they've got a team that might be pretty competitive in ACC play, and I think going on the road at Virginia and taking a series and coming down to Tallahassee, if you play well, maybe say you don't win the series, maybe you just take one, right? But maybe you put some good swings against a pitching staff that's pretty much handled every test put in front of them so far. Maybe it says good things about what this Boston College team is and can be going forward. But no, if Jamie Arnold's healthy, and even if he's not, I trust him to figure it out. They've got plenty of options there. Wes Mendez and Joey Vellini, two transfers brought in, starting on Saturday and Sunday for Florida State, have also been spectacular. We talked about anytime you get three starters that are going into the fifth, sixth inning every outing, and you trust that they're going to get you there, you're going to have a chance. And Florida State's got a good collection of arms, so I like them to handle business against Boston College.
Yeah, we're gonna transition to the Sun Belt here. Preseason, you look at this first Sun Belt weekend, Troy traveling to Lafayette. You think? At the end of the day, it's still a huge series. You're opening up Sun Belt play on the road in the Teague, which is a very hostile environment. Anytime you play anywhere in Louisiana, those fans are fantastic down there. Food fantastic as well. But Troy's had a hot start. They're 13-3 with losses. They dropped one to USC Upstate this past weekend. 5-4, and then the other two losses were to Alabama 3-1 and Auburn 7-6. I've been impressed with what I've seen by Troy so far. They've got some, especially from a mid-major program. You're running out 7-8 guys 95 plus. It's impressive, and they have pretty good command. They're not walking the house. Lineup has been fantastic. Blake Cavill's hitting over 400. Brooks Bryan has 20-plus RBIs again. Stephen Meyer in the leadoff spots hitting over 400. Sean Darnell is having a fantastic start to his season. Had a little bit of some question marks on the infield, shortstop, third base, DH positions. You got Jimmy Janicki, the Sun Belt Conference preseason freshman of the year, starting the year at third and then getting taken out after a not so great start, and he's transitioned back into the starting third base role. He's been fantastic the last couple of games. He's hitting over 300 the last couple of weeks. Jacob Wax is now starting at shortstop, and he's been more than serviceable at the plate, which was always the real question with him. But he's been elite in the field. He makes difficult plays look very easy. Shane Lewis has been great in the outfield. Mikey Bello has been fantastic. The lineup from top to bottom, it's great. And I'm curious to see what they can do against a Lafayette team that's really slid these past couple weeks and not really a hot start to their season. I think the questions for Lafayette, it's obviously their lineup. Can they put together at bats and string together runs and not rely so much on the small ball that they typically do as a staple in that program over there, bunting people over, confusing defenses, making them make errors. It's the typical Lafayette culture for their lineup. But the real question is that we didn't really think we'd see is what we're going to get from their starting pitching. It's been all over. I don't know if they're in panic mode. Andrew Herman, who's been a weekend starter for the first 3 weeks of the year, gets taken out, and he's pitching on Friday nights out of the pen this past week. It's been a little bit of a confusion down there in Lafayette, and I'm curious to see if they can finally put it all together this weekend against Troy. But, I still think Troy goes down there and takes that series from Lafayette.
Yeah, like we said, hey, it's a tough place to play. We've been there. We've seen it, doesn't really matter how either team's playing. When you go down there, the Cajuns are going to have a chance at home. Like we said, they win Friday night against DBU last week, which is a top 25 team. They're semi-competitive on Saturday for about 7 innings, and then end up letting that one get away, and then pretty uncompetitive on Sunday. So, yeah, they're kind of throwing stuff against the wall from a lineup perspective and a pitching staff perspective. It seems they're going with the direction of nobody get comfortable in any spot you're in because this thing's not going well, and they're trying to turn the tide. Certainly not the schedule it seems to do it against. You go out to California, to UC Irvine, you get swept. You come home, you got to play top 25 DBU. You lose 2 out of 3, and then conference starts. Guess what? Here comes Troy, right? Top 25 team who's been pretty good this year. Offensively, the Trojans not as much power as years past. The home runs aren't coming quite at the level that I think we've been accustomed to. But Stephen Meyer's been a superstar for them, hitting 440. Right, gritty leadoff hitter. He's got 3 home runs, which is more than you think he'd have when you look at him. He's pretty skinny out there, but I mean, only 9 Ks, 11 stolen bases, only been thrown out once, 14 walks, 7 HPP, so 21 free bases already for Meyer. Blake Cavill's just been a gritty veteran up there, hitting 412. Right, hit 2 home runs over the weekend. Maybe we'll start to see him get into the power numbers a little bit more. Unfortunately for the Trojans, Shane Lewis goes down, hurts his shoulder. Against USC Upstate, he was the leading home run getter for him with 6. He's got 16 free bases this year, 18 Ks, so strikeouts are a little high. But when you've got 14 walks and 2 HBPs, it kind of evens out a little bit. But he had seemed to kind of find his stride a little bit this year, so I'm not really sure how that shoulder injury is going to affect him moving forward. But that would be a big blow for the Trojans. Drew Nelson's been great for them on Sundays, transferring over from Auburn, a local kid. Just a solid 2 ERA. It's competitive. It's going to be multiple pitches for strikes. He hits a little. He's got 2 at-bats this year, which is kind of funny. And, yeah, Troy's piecing it together. They've got a collection of arms that they can go to. Like you said, stuff is not really an issue either. Adam Polinsky, who might be their best arm from a stuff perspective, is starting on the midweeks with all the Power 5s that they've had in the past. You wonder if you see him start to transition more to a bullpen role or even a starting role in the rotation with the stuff he possesses with conference play rolling around and conference play being a little more important than these RPI midweeks against these SEC teams. So should be a competitive series. 2 solid teams, one team that's trying to continue the winning ways in the Trojans being 13-3, and then one team trying to stop the slide in the Cajuns. But yeah, I think Troy goes down there and at least takes a series. It's hard to sweep teams on the road, as we've said, in good conferences, and against a program who's made 3 straight regionals. So they know what competitive baseball looks like. But no, I think this iteration of the Trojans and the Cajuns, I'll take the Trojans.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this weekend. I mean, I'll reiterate again, SEC play starts. It's always fun to watch. ACC play, Big 12, Big 10, full swing, Sun Belt, full swing. I'm really excited to see, especially when we get into conference play, what we're going to get from some of these teams who haven't really played much of a strong non-con schedule. I mean, it's really, I mean, most of these teams all have big midweek matchups here and there against SEC, ACC opponents, mid-major wise. But you really don't know what you're going to get in a matchup perspective when you're facing weekend arms, which is arguably your 3 best guys. It's always a difference maker. But yeah, I mean, you got anything else that you want to add? Anything you're excited to see this weekend?
No, I mean, it's like you said, once conference starts, especially in the SEC, it's week in and week out. You don't get a break. You got to bring your best, bring your A game every single weekend. So I think it's good to see some of these teams, like Florida State, that have had an easy road, into it so far. And there's teams across the country that are that way. We get to see what you're made of when teams have got more than a couple arms to throw at you and more than 2 or 3 hitters you have to be worried about. So I'm just really excited to, see if the cream rises to the top here when the competition level and the talent level evens out in some of these leagues. So yeah, should be really exciting. Best weekend yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, say it again, I'm really excited. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we all watch some really good ball. And yeah, 1, 2, 3 baseball. We'll see you next week.